This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning, or working.
And working.
Yeah, I'm Rebecca Smith.
And I'm Bill Bryant, and it's so good to have you with us here on WKYT. All of a sudden, we're busy in the newsroom, a lot going on.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. Now at 6 a.m., we're tracking some breaking news. A large police presence on Lexington's south side of town. We'll take you live to the scene ahead.
Still investigating that scene, and the Lexington Herald leader is making some major changes. Why some of those changes involve moving some operations to another city.
And people in West Virginia still trying to recover from last week's historic flooding, but cleanup efforts not promising as more bad weather is expected.
Not bad weather around here, though. We're talking about very pleasant stuff with more sunshine, lower humidity, a very comfortable stretch. I'll break it all down here in just a few minutes.
All right, Jim, thank you. Let's get right to the news.
Well, we are tracking a breaking news alert in Lexington this morning. A large police presence on the south side of town.
Police were called out to the Lansdowne Apartments on Malibu Drive just before 5 o'clock this morning. The details are still sketchy at the scene, but let's go live to WKYT's Mike Byer, who is there asking questions. Mike, what can you tell us at this point?
Good morning, Bill. I'm at the Lansdowne Apartments. They're off Tates Creek Road, and there still is a heavy police presence here. There's several officers. They've been walking around, tracking the scene, trying to pick up any details about what happened here. They were called out just before 5 a.m. I'm going to step out of the shot and kind of show you what's going on here. So we've got some police in front of one of the buildings here. What I can tell you right now is there is some blood on the sidewalk. That's all we know right now. We don't know if it's related to why police are here, but there is blood on the sidewalk. We know one person was taken to UK Hospital. Now, that's what we know right now. An officer, one of the duty commanders for Lexington Police, just arrived on scene. He said he is working to gather information for us and should be able to pass that along within a few minutes. So we should have more information for you coming up on WKYT News at 6:30. But that's all we know right now at this point. Once again, we hope to have more information for you at 6:30. A Lexington Police officer, duty commander, just arrived, said he should be getting some info for us, and we'll pass that along. In the meantime, we'll keep you up to date on air, online, and through our mobile news app. Live in Lexington, Mike Byer, WKYT.
All right, thank you, Mike. We are tracking another breaking news alert in Lexington. Police think a couple of suspects are behind 3 Lexington robberies this morning. 2 speedways were robbed within about 15 minutes of one another, one on Euclid Avenue, the other on Winchester Road. Then a Waffle House, we understand, was robbed on 8th and Boonesboro near the interstate. We are making calls about this developing story as well, see if all these are tied in. We do not know at this point. Keep it right here on WKYT for the latest information.
Now 6:03 and packing up and moving out. The Lexington Herald leader is putting its downtown building up for sale. It is moving its print shop to Louisville. Major local impact here. Our news partner says the move will allow the paper to focus on digital news and advertising. The newspaper will be printed and packaged at Gannett's Publishing Services in Louisville. That will start on August 1st. That move means 29 employees will be laid off. Then there's the question of what will happen to that massive building at Midland and Main, a real landmark as you enter the city. It has been there since 1980. When it was assessed this year, the property was valued at nearly $7 million. The president and publisher of the Lexington Herald leader, Rufus Friday, says he has had several people interested in buying the entire property. There's a lot of parking there and some other amenities, so we'll see, but a major change downtown. Rebecca.
Sounds like it. Thank you, Bill. A vigil was held to honor a 10-year-old boy who died in a hit-and-run crash in Pulaski County. Stanley Turner died last week after being hit on Rocklet Creek Road near his grandfather's farm. Dozens gathered at the Science Hill Post Office last night to remember Stanley. They also prayed for a resolution for his family.
It's discouraging to know that there's somebody out there that doesn't have the guts to come forward and say that they were the one that done it or admit to it. I mean, it's heartless.
Stanley would have been a 5th grader at Eubank Elementary School this coming fall. His principal says they're now discussing adding a memorial in his honor to the school's new playground. Pulaski County Sheriff's deputies say they are still looking for the driver who's responsible for the hit and run that took little Stanley's life.
Police are still trying to figure out what led to a deadly crash in Wayne County. The Wayne County coroner tells us Timothy Gregory died after hitting a log truck head-on along Highway 92 east of Monticello. Police say Gregory's passenger, Heidi Kennedy, has been airlifted to UK Hospital. At last check, she is in critical condition. Investigators say neither person was wearing a seatbelt. Polls have just opened in Williamsburg, where a special election is taking place today over expanded alcohol alcohol sales. In 2012, the city voted to allow alcohol sales in restaurants only, and that measure passed by just 14 votes. Today, voters will decide whether or not to allow alcohol sales in other stores. Again, the polls are now open in the city limits of Williamsburg and will be until 6 p.m. today.
People in Knox County are still cleaning up damage caused by flash flooding last week. Donnie Carnes says high water damaged the bridge he and his family used to cross a creek to get to their home. The damage caused a big problem when his father-in-law had a medical emergency. Carnes says the ambulance couldn't actually get across the damaged bridge, so he actually had to help paramedics carry his father-in-law over that bridge.
What would we have done if the water had been back up again? I mean, we wouldn't have been able to walk him across.
Carnes told us he's now asking county officials for help repairing that damaged bridge.
Folks in West Virginia are still recovering this morning after historic flooding took the lives of nearly 24 people and forced thousands from their homes. It rained again yesterday, and forecasters say more bad weather is potentially on the way. For those whose homes have emerged from water, it's making the cleanup even more difficult. FEMA is expected to start getting help to people throughout the week. New this morning on WKYT, firefighters made quick work of a fire that started in one of the University of Kentucky science buildings. The fire started just after 11 last night in the Plant Sciences building. Crews say a breaker caught fire inside an oven on the 3rd floor of the building. They say there was no damage to the building other than to that oven.
The pastor of a Lexington church says a man claiming to be interested in joining their congregation ended up stealing from them. Police say the thief stole several instruments and a purse after a service at Lexington Korean Presbyterian Church on Reading Road. Pastor Lee told us the purse belonged to his wife. He also said one of the instruments belonged to a church member and was valued at more than $1,000. Shortly after the items were taken, Pastor Lee said the thief charged $300 to his wife's credit card at a Walmart. Pastor Lee says the church would have been willing to help the man out had only he asked for the help. At this time, no arrests have been made.
In Lexington today, the Bluegrass Area Development District plans to publicly address serious allegations of mismanagement. Earlier this month, the state pulled all aging and independent living funding from the group. This comes as the agency deals with financial issues. Bluegrass Ad's website says the group deals in competence, not ignorance, and is looking to try to clarify any misconceptions about the mission there.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
Today marks the beginning of a nice little stretch in the weather world as we'll watch daytime highs come down a little bit compared to yesterday, and humidity also down quite a bit. It's been off the charts here recently, and we're going to catch a break from that. I'm looking toward the western skies here, so we've got the sun to our back, and you can see it's lighting up some of the clouds that we have, high thin clouds that we have out there, mind you, here in the Lexington area. 68 degrees. Humidity up this morning, of course. Naturally, that's going to be the case. And in fact, so high in some spots, we're running into some areas of dense fog, especially if it's an area that picked up on some rain yesterday. Rounds of showers and thunderstorms swept through southern and eastern Kentucky. And that's where we find a little bit of the rain here this morning, just about to wrap up and work its way on into Virginia. Now, the second phase of our overall pattern is about to take shape. It's the next front. It'll completely sweep through today, and that's where we get the refreshing air mass. And you can even see how refreshing it is right now. It's considered even cool, downright cold if it got here in that form for us. We'd be talking about very chilly stuff. So we'll get a nice little cool run here for the next few days. Once that front completely makes its way through the area, it brings in a dry and mild air. It is what you call a cleansing front because it takes care of all that humidity and it just dumps it off into the south and keeps it at least bottled up down there. 5 to 10 degrees difference between yesterday, the beginning of the week, and the middle of the week. Much drier air. It's a refreshing air mass. At times we could see lows in the 50s. So today, still a little bit of humidity out there. It's just not the oppressive, uncomfortable type we've been dealing with. Gets much more into the pleasant categories here as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. Daytime highs for you today likely end up in the mid-80s, around average for this time of year, and then we make our run into the pleasant weather. 50s to start your Wednesday morning with daytime highs, with this model at least, pushing mid-70s. I think we're a little warmer than that, probably in the upper 70s for highs. Here comes our 7-day forecast where we're all about the nice stuff for the first few days, but we get locked into a pattern, it looks like, toward the end of the week and into the weekend where rounds of showers and thunderstorms will be coming. Unfortunately, you know, it is a holiday weekend and a lot of folks are going to be out stirring around. It looks like it is going to be a washout. That's kind of a system that we have for the weekend. Not good news either for West Virginia, and it could impact them as well.
Yeah, and it's the first time I've heard you use that term as this rain approaches, but we'll focus on the here and now, right?
Yeah, because we got some nice stuff coming first.
Yeah, we're going to take advantage of the here and now for sure.
Exactly.
That sounds good to me.
All right, Jim, appreciate you as always. Our time this morning is 6:10 on WKYT, and we want to check traffic out for you.
Yeah, let's get a look at what is happening out on the roads right now. I believe we have a look at the map to show you.
And we'll see what's going on. We will, of course, let you know that we do have that issue continuing out there on Malibu Drive right now in Lansdowne. It's an emergency response by the police, and so presumably it's a little tight through there right at the moment. If we have one of those Lexington Fayette Urban County Government cameras to show you what's going on this morning, most of the reports are good. Here is a look right now, as you see, at the interstate. I'm going to take it that that's maybe New Circle. Yeah, that's New Circle. Yeah, New Circle and Leestown Road. And the early travelers are moving along okay in that area. Yep. So it's a pretty good ride in. It's a pleasant day. And just watch out for some little situations here and there this morning that we're covering.
It's only Tuesday, but we'll get through it, right?
You got it.
Friday is on the horizon. It's there.
It's there somewhere. In that pink horizon we could see there with the early sunrise. Good to have you with us on WKYT this morning.
Well, Volkswagen has agreed to pay billions of dollars in the largest auto scandal settlement in U.S. history. Coming up, what that means for owners. We are tracking a breaking news alert this morning. Pat Summitt, the winningest coach in Division I college basketball, has died. Summitt announced in 2011 that she was suffering from early onset dementia and Alzheimer's. Summitt, who won a record 1,098 games and 8 national championships, helped put women's basketball on the map as the head coach of the University of Tennessee's Lady Vols. She is the reason the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame is in Knoxville. Summitt received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama in 2012 and was recognized by ESPN as its Arthur Ashe Courage Award winner. The legendary coach Pat Summitt was 64 years old. Some very sad news, Bill, this morning.
What a career, certainly, for Pat Summitt. And there was also talk back in the mid-1970s of her potentially at one point coming to Kentucky, and supposedly that all unraveled over moving expenses. But what a career she had for the University of Tennessee. Pat Summitt died this morning, 64 years old. In a dramatic ruling, the Supreme Court tossed out a Texas abortion access law. The law would have closed all but a handful of clinics in the state. The court ruled that that change would have violated the rights of Texas citizens. The 5-3 ruling is the most significant decision from the Supreme Court on abortion in 2 decades. It could serve to deter other states from passing so-called clinic shutdown laws.
President Obama took to Twitter to show his support for the Supreme Court's ruling on abortion. He tweeted, quote, "Every woman has a constitutional right to make her own reproductive choices. I'm pleased to see the Supreme Court reaffirm the fact today." Hillary Clinton also showed support on Twitter. She tweeted, quote, "SCOTUS's decision is a victory for women in Texas and across America. Safe abortions excuse me, should be a right, not just on paper, but in reality." That according to Hillary Clinton.
British Prime Minister David Cameron meets with European leaders in Brussels today to discuss the UK's stunning exit from the EU. The summit comes as world markets continue to feel the effects of the Brexit. The Dow dropped more than 260 points yesterday, while Standard & Poor's lowered Britain's credit rating. Volkswagen is agreeing to pay nearly $15 billion in a settlement in its emission scandal. The automaker admits to selling about 11 million cars with software designed to cheat emissions tests. The deal includes repairing or buying back cars, with owners getting as much as $10,000. The settlement would shatter records for other fines paid by other automakers for negligence or wrongdoing. The agreement still has to be approved by a federal court. A hearing in the case is scheduled for June 30th.
6:18 is your time this morning. Furniture giant IKEA is recalling millions of dressers, which have been blamed for the deaths of 3 children. IKEA says the dressers can fall over if not fastened to the wall. The company says it's working with the Consumer Product Safety Commission on the recalls and how to deal with the problem. The Philadelphia Inquirer reports that IKEA will provide full refunds to customers under terms of the recall. IKEA launched a repair program last year for the dressers after the deaths of 2 children, but the company says it opted to issue a full recall after the death of a 3rd child. Details about that death were not released. Well, Pepsi will soon have 3 diet drink options. Just a year after ditching aspartame, Pepsi is reintroducing the artificial sweetener. PepsiCo says a new offering will be made with aspartame and Ace K. It will be called Diet Pepsi Classic Sweetener Blend. There you go. The drinks will be on store shelves in September and sold in 20-ounce and 2-liter bottles along with 12 packs. Pepsi initially dumped aspartame over public concerns about the sweetener's health effects. Now it says consumers want choice in Diet Colas, so it's just adjusting to buyers' tastes. Chipotle fans rejoice. The chain is announcing a summer rewards program. Chiptopia is a 3-month program offering free food after 4 qualifying visits. The program has 3 levels: mild, medium, and hot. 4 minimum of $6 purchases a month gets you 1 free entree in mild status. 8 purchases gets you another entree in medium status, and then 11 gets you another free entree in hot status. But there's even more than that. If you achieve hot status for all 3 months, you get free catering for $20. The program launches July 1st and runs through September. I think we've piqued Bill's interest with the Chiptopia story.
Well, sounds good. Lots of options there. All right, very good. Thank you. 6:20 is our time on WKYT this morning. Once again, we have the word just in that Pat Summitt, the winningest coach in women's basketball, has died this morning at age 64. We'll be following up on that. And also, as we're just getting started this morning, a woman bursts into song in our nation's capital and is now gaining social media fame for the performance.
And we've got a nice little run in the weather world coming. Cooler temperatures. You see it right there. Cooler temperatures are coming. Highs in the 70s for tomorrow. I'll track them next.
Welcome in. 6:23 is the time this morning. We have breaking news. Legendary basketball coach Pat Summitt has passed away.
Very sad, and that's what is trending at this hour. Summitt announced in 2011 that she was suffering from early onset dementia and Alzheimer's. Summitt, who won a record 1,098 games and 8 national championships, is best known for helping put women's basketball on the map as head coach at the University of Tennessee. For many years, she led the Lady Vols. Now let's check in on weather. We're anticipating a pleasant day today and even better tomorrow.
Yeah, decent day. We're around average for daytime highs, and when you can get there in the summertime that or below, you're usually in pretty good shape. Mid-80s for highs across central and eastern Kentucky today. Might be a little bit stickier into our east as well because they had a little more rain yesterday, so some of that humidity or that moisture will come back and visit them. Let's ease into your Wednesday morning. We start things off tomorrow in the 50s. A very comfortable start out there. It's almost has a crisp nature to the air. Then we get into the daytime high range for Wednesday, and we're in the mid and upper 70s throughout the entire area. That is going to be spectacular. We should be around 85 for a daytime high. We could come in at least 5, maybe 10 degrees cooler for daytime highs when we get into the day tomorrow. Our rain threat as we move through the next several days and into the weekend, we're fine today, Wednesday, and into your Thursday. But once we get into Friday, you see we get closer and closer to that washout category, guys. Showers and thunderstorms will arrive and hang around for the entire holiday weekend. But leading up to it, enjoy because it's going to be spectacular out there.
All right, very good. We thank you very much, Jim. And our time now, 6:25.
So about cruising down the highway, 65 miles an hour. Last thing you may expect is a bear to come rushing out at you. Yikes.
But take a look at this. That is what happened to this motorist driving there in southern Missouri. You see the bear run right into the side of the truck and then take off. A state trooper caught the unbelievable crash on tape. According to the Highway Patrol there, both the driver and the bear are okay.
Woo.
Everybody just a little shaken up by what happened.
Man, I'll say.
I don't know who was in whose path there, right?
Glad everybody was okay in that situation.
Visitors at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. got quite the surprise from a woman who decided to show her patriotism.
Well, that's pretty good. All right, there you go. The woman busted out an impromptu rendition of the national anthem and absolutely killed it, as you can hear there. Hordes of tourists go nuts as that woman wrapped up her surprise performance. Her video's already been viewed more than 9 million times on Facebook. You know, it's already just amazing to be in that spot in D.C. and to have that dramatic, addition.
Probably a very chilling moment.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly a memorable moment, no doubt about that. Well, it's good to have you with us on WKYT this morning, 6:26 now, and our top stories are on the way.
All eyes on Europe today. Officials there discussing the logistics of the Brexit vote.
And tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is $390 million. Tomorrow's Powerball jackpot is $222 million. Keep it here on WKYT this morning.